Welcome to Martech Legacy. I'm your host Varsha Sarkar, and the topic for today's episode is building a global field marketing strategy, best practices, and pitfalls. Our guest for today is Nikhil Mirashi, who is the former regional head of marketing at MoEngage with over 13 years of experience in integrated and field marketing. Welcome to our show, Nikhil.
Thanks, Varsha. Thanks for having me. Super privileged to have this, and I hope the audience loves whatever bit of experience I have to share.
I'm so glad to have you here. So, getting started, what are some of the common responsibilities of a B2B field marketing manager? Could you just give us like what exactly do you do?
So before that, let me also clarify for our audiences, field marketer, purely by virtue of the name field, is often confused. People often think that field marketing is restricted only to events, conferences, cocktails, or maybe printing out brochures for an exhibition and all of that. For me, field marketing is way beyond all of that. And this exactly captures what responsibilities a field marketer would have to do. So in my own words, field marketing is like the last mile of marketing. So you might have something coming from central or global marketing, and field marketing acts like the bridge between central and the regions. It could be a region, a sub-geography, an area, a smaller market, or a segment, anything. The field marketer's task is to take that marketing to the different regions. Now, when you talk about responsibilities, to me, a field marketing leader is someone who owns entire marketing. So the full funnel marketing for that particular region. So it could be from your top of the funnel, your demand generation, your pipeline acceleration, as well as customer engagement. So yeah, I typically break all of that into these four buckets. And then the sub activities, as all of you know, is right from your content, PR, ads, email, events, all of it encompasses what different strategies you have to do for a field. So that's my 2 cents on what a field marketer's responsibilities could be.
So, Nikhil, in any organization, collaboration is very important. In your experience, what are the most important stakeholders for a B2B field marketing manager to collaborate with?
Perfect. I'm glad you asked that because often it has been looked that marketing operates in silos. And while it might hold true for a lot of central teams, I think today for field marketing, alignment with sales is the biggest priority. Now, how this would work is sales might want to focus on a particular segment. Let's say your sales teams wants to focus on retail. And if marketing is putting out stuff or campaigns for banking, it doesn't make sense. So this is where a field marketing leader or a manager, whoever it might be, would have to customize the central strategies useful for the regional sales teams. Now, the other angles would be, what does your sales team require? Is it brand awareness that they need? Do they need help with a certain set of accounts? Is it pipeline acceleration? Or do they just need a bit of help on the content where they see gaps? So based on their needs, this is where a field marketer works closely with sales. Now, this is not where the buck stops. Sales, while being the main stakeholder, there are also other stakeholders which a field marketer has to work with. So the second most important is the SDR or the BDR team, whatever the company has nomenclature with. So there is a two-way relationship with SDRs. One is obviously your lead allocation, follow-ups, and the entire gamut of discovery and setting the appointments.
Right.
But the second aspect is how well can you use your SDR teams to probably promote your content, drive attendance for events, or maybe even get insights from them. So they are the ones who are the first phase of the company, right? From discovery, understanding the needs, what are the gaps in the market, what could be the typical maturity of the market. And this is where the field marketer can get a lot of insights from the SDR team. The third most important stakeholder is the partnerships team. Now, different regions have different partners. You have your tech partners, alliances, channel partners, system integrators. How can you conquer the market with a collaboration with your partners? So it could be joint marketing, collaborating on events, content. So those are different angles with the partner team. And finally, the most important, or rather the other most important team is customer success. Any region thrives on customer testimonials, customer advocacy. So you need to work closely with your customer success team and getting the connection with the customers. So long story short, sales, SDRs, partnerships, and customer success, four main stakeholders for a field marketer.
Thanks, Nikhil. That was really well explained. Now, when it comes to strategy, what are the first steps that you take as a field marketing manager in creating your marketing strategy?
Let's say someone has started into a field marketing role. So the biggest or the first thing that person needs to do is understand what the market is all about. And when I say what the market is all about, it's about understanding the maturity. So what kind of industries lie there? what is their buying process, what channels do they flock to, what kind of personas exist there, is the market mature in terms of the solutions you are selling. So that's the first hand business understanding you need to do.
Mhm.
Second step would be more on your internal steps. So what is the historical data telling you? Are leads coming in? Or if leads are coming in, are they moving successfully through the funnel? What kind of content has been working for you? Is there something else which has worked, not worked? So those anecdotal inputs as well as data back inputs. So that's the
Mhm.
second point. So after understanding the market, understanding the data, the third point would be determining what objectives you have. So
Mhm.
certain markets, your objective might be just a new entry. So you just need a bit of leads. Certain other markets, you might just need a bit of brand awareness. So once those objectives are in place, then comes the next part where you can actually create the actual plan. And this plan would be a combination of budgets, channels, and tactics. So you have X budget, you can allocate it across different channels based on the nuances of the market. And then what are the tactics under each of those channels? Let's say maybe a webinar works in a certain market, but an in-person event works in another. So that's how
Mhm.
you need to do the planning. And when all of this is in place, what is the localization angle that you can bring in? Now, you always have something which is standard, uniform across the globe, but there are certain customizations. And when I say customizations, it's not just the language part of it. It's all
Mhm.
about talking about your maturity. What are the specific use cases? What is the tone that you need to use? It even boils down to the content formats. I mean, someone like in Indonesia might be very active on, say, Facebook, but some other region might be very open to LinkedIn. So your content also has to be customized according to that. And then finally, the imagery. What kind of images do typical people consume in those markets? So
Mhm.
all of these things typically flow into your marketing strategy. And once all of this is in place, you start running, execute, test the results, iterate, and then it becomes a closed feedback loop. So that's how I would approach it.
Perfect. So, Nikhil, what are some of the key metrics that you use to measure the success of a field marketing campaign? And are there any metrics that are beyond tracking the lead generation that you use?
So I'll break this into 2 points. One is how do you measure or what are the North Star metrics for you? So as a field marketing team, your North Star metric should be pipeline or maybe revenue in certain cases based on how your business is. But when
Right.
I say pipeline, it's not just a dollar figure. You can actually break or slice and dice that pipeline into different facets. So
Hmm.
what industries is your pipeline coming from? From what markets is this coming? Is it coming from SMB or mid market or enterprise segment? What
Hmm.
is the average ARR that is contributing? So it gives you an idea whether you are getting bigger deals or more smaller deals. So all of those different facets of pipeline actually help you. And I think as a marketer, you have to deliver the pipeline.
Right.
But that's not where the buck stops. You cannot really do a lot by just looking at the pipeline. So what are the other metrics that you might need to look? So let's say, how do you track your brand awareness? Are you getting sufficient brand search volumes?
Hmm.
Do you have a good amount of social media engagement? Is there traffic coming to your key pages for the region? That is more about your website and social. Then your funnel metrics, as you rightly mentioned. So MQLs, SQLs, opportunities, not just the count, but also how is the progression happening? Is the conversion right? Is it getting affected? Is there a seasonality behind it? And
Hmm.
finally, certain sales metrics like your sales cycles. Did a particular activity actually help in reducing your average sales cycle? Were you
Hmm.
able to accelerate the pipeline? I mean, let's say you are into a number of deals and were you able to quickly get them to closure, which really helped you into capturing the revenue? So those are the different metrics. And finally, I mean, this is very specific to certain companies. So a lot of companies still focus on net new revenue, but there are certain companies where even the existing customer marketing is also a part of marketers. So in that case, what is the retention? What is the churn rate? What is the NPS, which is the net promoter score? All of those things also matter when you're also talking about customer marketing. So that's the entire gamut of different metrics. I'll
Hmm.
also like to give you an example here. So let's say I am handling, or rather, I was handling Middle East and Africa as a region in my
Hmm.
previous experience. Now, when I would be looking at a mature market like UAE, some of the metrics I would look at it would be more bottom of the funnel. The reason
Okay.
being we had a decent customer footprint, we have good brand awareness. So my tactics would depend on bottom of the funnel metrics. Are I
Hmm.
be able to close more deals? Are we able to get more higher deal values? But let's
Hmm.
say apart from UAE, if I am opening a new market, let's say take for example South Africa. So
Hmm.
in that case, the metrics that would matter for me would be more top of the funnel. Am I generating sufficient lead? Is my website getting traffic? Are we having brand search volumes? So
Right.
that's how the implications of all these metrics mean. So it's not just having them on a dashboard, but how you actually
Mhm.
use them.
So Nikhil, like you have said, and like you have different experience with different regions. So how exactly can a company tailor their messaging and content to resonate with different regional audiences?
So to start with, you have to look at your business. Now, certain businesses, there isn't a lot of difference in how they sell to different regions. However,
Mm.
certain softwares or certain businesses have a huge component of localization. Let's say there is banking regulation, government laws, taxation, and that really impacts the way you do your marketing in those particular regions.
Right.
So to take it ahead, understanding your market in terms of nuances, how
Mm.
do people behave there? What kind of languages they use. And when I say language, it's not just the actual language, but the style of
Mm-hmm.
language as well. Let's
Right.
say someone in the Middle East, the English might not be super mature. So the way
Mm.
you write or the way you talk would be very different, let's say from an advanced English speaking nation like America. So
Right.
that has to be taken into consideration. Then
Mm.
the second part is again the creatives, as I mentioned. What kind of imagery can you put in your content? Because I mean, you might write a lot of content, but distribution often comes with a creative aspect to it, and that cannot be ignored. You have to take into the cultural sensitivities, what people prefer, what
Mm.
could offend them. So, just to give an example, I am from India, and if I am looking at a particular thing for myself, having a purely Western image, I might not relate to it because I would connect to people who are around me. So
Mm.
that is the impact image or creatives can have. The next part is about your own positioning and messaging. To give you an example rather than talking theoretically, let's say MoEngage was a customer engagement platform that was our global positioning. However, when we came to a slightly lesser mature market like Middle East, the
Mm.
market was still opening up. So advanced use cases like AI, predictive analytics didn't make a lot of sense. The
Right.
businesses were still in the set of maybe creating automation, basic workflows. So
Mm.
the positioning we had to take purely for that market was a little bit lower. Let's say we just call ourselves a CDP or a CRM. I mean, I'll not go into the details of this term. They are very industry specific. But what I wanted to show here is maybe something which is global needs to be customized for the region in
Mm.
what you're talking about your own product as well. So those different things come into the picture by creating a localized content strategy or even a campaign strategy. So I think understanding the market, getting your localization angles into place, and then actually executing this. These are the three steps that you bring into localization of any content or any campaign for a region.
So, Nikhil, according to you, what skills and experiences would be helpful for a person who is looking to transition into field marketing?
Awesome. I'm glad you asked that because I would like that people look at this and probably start becoming more and more interested into this field. So field
Definitely.
marketing by itself is a very generalist role. It has a
Mm-hmm.
lot of business sense to it. So a holistic understanding of business is very important. And when I say business, it's your local market, it's your
Mm-hmm.
company. I mean, what the product is, what are the use cases, what different industries can you cater to, what things are a strict no, what are yes. So these are the business angles. The
Right.
second aspect is it is more about communication. So being a
Mm-hmm.
generalist means you have a lot of stakeholder management. So
Mm-hmm.
communication, both written and oral, then ability to manage different stakeholders in terms of internal stakeholders like sales, SDRs, external stakeholders like your partners,
Mm-hmm.
vendors. That is a big thing. Management of stakeholder means there is a huge project management and program management angle to it. So someone who can manage multiple threads, keep track of different stuff, that is also a useful skill set for them. Now, apart from these things, the other angle is ability to understand data. Now, when we are into such a business focused role, you need to understand data by looking at it or maybe trying to make sense of it.
Right.
As I mentioned earlier, what are those different metrics? How is the funnel moving? From
Mm-hmm.
where is your business coming? What are the areas probably we should start, stop, continue? So those things is something which a person understanding data can get into. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, I think this is more like a tip, the ability to say no. Field
Right.
marketers work closely with sales. They are likely to get a lot of different requests, but you have
Mm-hmm.
your priorities, you have your budgets. So you should be in a position to say no without overwhelming yourself. And obviously back it with justification. So why are you saying no? Or else in directly saying no, can you put in a different alternative to it or explain this is what we'll do and this is what we cannot do? Because or else a lot of stuff will get piled on a field market and then execution will be a big problem. So that's what a holistic field marketer should look like.
Mhm.
One last point here would be just think of yourself as a mini CMO of that particular market or region. That way, you
Mhm.
will be able to cover all bases. Don't think yourself that you are just handling a certain aspect. Think of it, if I am a CMO of this region, what would I do? And then obviously, all other things will start falling into place.
So, what emerging trends in global field marketing are you most excited about?
This is awesome because I'm seeing, I mean, last 2 or 3 years, there has been huge change in the way companies have been looking at marketing, especially in the regional or field marketing strategies. Now, let's start with events typically form a huge part of a field marketer's responsibilities. Now, in COVID days, everything was digital. Slowly, in-person events started coming up, and people are realizing that there is a digital fatigue. So, going ahead, I still think that in-person events are going to be holding sway over webinars and everything. But does that mean webinars don't hold true? No. The way you do webinars matter. If it is useful, it is education wise, or it is like a workshop masterclass where you're getting experts rather than your own folks, those will still fly. That's one part. Coming back to events, I think smaller, intimate events are going to make sense rather than those huge trade shows and conferences with glitzy booths and all of it. So people want a captive audience, good agenda, and good networking rather than just having a huge sea of people. So that's one major change I see. The second part is collaboration. When I say
Hmm.
collaboration, I think we are seeing globally that there is a fall in budgets and people just want to get more from less budgets. So how would a field marketer respond to that? I mean, you still have to deliver the pipeline. You still have to deliver on your goals. So the
Hmm.
best way here is collaborating with your partners. So can you jointly do something so that you share the costs? It could be as good as simply sharing a booth, or maybe jointly doing a paid sponsored campaign, or maybe driving or co-authoring content. All of this actually gives you two people, and especially with partners, you are selling to the same audience. So it's like two people driving the ship, and that actually helps. I think that I see as a big emerging trend. I'm already seeing a lot of events where people are doubling up in terms of sponsoring booths. The third angle is emergence of organic, social, and personal branding. I
Hmm.
mean, I am seeing myself that I really don't follow a lot of companies, but I still follow a lot of people. So, what if
Hmm.
the people who are in touch with the field, so your sales guys, your customer, your BDRs, if they
Hmm.
are going to build their organic presence, people are going to buy from people. So,
Hmm.
that's a major change I see. And somewhat related to this is the emergence of, say, influencers and communities. I mean, I
Hmm.
myself am a part of 8 or 9 communities, and whenever I have a question, I would probably go to a community and ask about it, and then do a web search or maybe go to some other information source. So I think that's where the community building is going to happen. So if a
Right.
company is investing in building a community, getting people close to each other, and maybe then put some way to promote themselves in that community without being too salesy, I think that's going to be an emerging trend.
Hmm.
Already, I see a lot of community building softwares and smaller players also coming up and building all of that.
Right.
So those are probably 3 or 4 main trends I see going into 2025 and ahead.
Amazing. So, coming to my final question, Nikhil, what's your one advice for aspiring field marketers?
I think the biggest advice for me would be think of yourself as the CMO of the region. The reason being, a lot of field marketers tend to undersell themselves, restrict themselves to certain activities, and think that they are more of an execution. But think
Hmm.
of yourself as someone who is in the driver's seat, someone having a presence on the board, because you
Right.
can actually drive strategy, define what segments you want to target, and then actually execute it. So, right from your top to bottom to customer engagement. So,
Mhm.
don't be just an execution arm of sales, be an equal partner to sales. And that's the biggest advice I can give to anyone aspiring to be a field marketing leader.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. This was an amazing conversation. Actually, it was my first getting to learn more about field marketing, so it was quite helpful for me as well. So, with this, we conclude our today's episode. If you have liked it, then please do like and subscribe to Martech Legacy. Until next time, thank you, everyone.